Hi, everybody. I'm back again and with a very, very different conversation this time. In life, you see things quite simple yet complex. We all see that. What you want to be, it really starts right from your early childhood. I think it's with everybody. I mean, whatever wanted to be, I think if I go back and see the kind of those plays I had, I would always play like a coach and a coachee, and I would play like teacher, and I would also sometimes have, that very small office, and we would have all the setup structure which we used to make out of the waste. As a child, I always wished, okay, I will have my office sometime. So I really realized that whatever you used to do when you were young, it's kind of, it's knocking those doors for you to enter in the future. All those your candid conversations that you hear within your ecosystem with your parents, with your siblings, your near dears, and your teachers, in fact, all are the preparation for life that is getting designed for you. Now, I'm not trying to convey that you don't experience contradictions, you don't experience disagreements in life. You do. I also did. But what I'm trying to say is, we all have to face these contradictions, disagreements, ups and downs, even if we come from the most affluent families. But you somehow sail through and you stick to those decisions that you take for yourself that you feel are right for you and make your life much better and a life that you love. So, in a way, you don't define your passion defines you. And we have many such people around us if we just open up our eyes and actually have a look at them, who've been decisive and very, very clear, and who made the life they wanted to have. And one of those leading influencers, crusaders, enthusiasts is Dr. Swati Popat Vats. Dr. Swati Popat Vats, President, Early Childhood Association and Association for Primary Education and Research. It's a dynamic lady. I've had my conversation recently with her. Try and listen to this conversation, especially for the women. This is going to be fantastic. I'm so glad you are here. I have seen you, as a great storyteller. Always. Be it kids or, whatever way I've seen. Even I've seen your working sphere. I've been in the conferences with you and other places. I've seen you always busy telling stories to people, busy telling the incidents, the anecdotes you have. So, and I also believe that these have a lot of installations. That's why Inside Out is here. And they carry a lot of realism. So tell me your life story. I want to touch that realism because what I see on the outside is Dr. Swati Popat Vats.
Right.
Who has reached somewhere, who has a lot of connections. If you want to read about her, you would see so many schools associated. That's one part. That is what you have achieved. But then I'm sure there is a history, like you asked me, you're looking so content. So there is a history behind everything. So let me know your story. Whatever way you want to begin, it's all up to you.
So my story is quite simple and yet complex because I think I knew right from childhood that I wanted to become a teacher. Everybody plays teacher. I also used to play, but I took it quite seriously, And when I was, after passing my 12th grade, I told my dad I want to become a teacher and I want to become an early years teacher.
Hmm.
And my dad was completely against it. My dad was a very, very forward thinking, progressive person who always wanted his daughters to achieve something in life, become independent, to become empowered. And in those days, so I'm talking about 34 years back, early childhood was considered like babysitting. कि क्या फ्यूचर है इसमें, क्या कर पाओगे, तुम इतनी इंटेलिजेंट हो, कुछ करो, डिजाइनिंग में जाओ, कुछ do something with your life. But I said, no, I want to be, because you know what, I was doing my home science at that time. So I was doing my graduation in home science, and you have to start choosing your, what you are going to take in the final year, what specialization. And I wanted to do child development. Now, before me, my elder sister was also in the same college. She took textile designing. So, my dad was more about ke designing mein jao, kuch karo, child development kya karna hai, So I was very adamant, I've always been very, very, what would I say, if I don't get my way and if I believe in it, then I will fight for it. So I said, नहीं, तो फिर मैं college graduation ही नहीं करूँगी, तो आपको अगर ऐसा करना है तो फिर मैं अभी short diploma courses करूँगी. And I did travel and tourism and everything. And then ultimately he got convinced. And then I did my early childhood education. And then I did my graduation. And then I did my post-graduation. And then, of course, it continued. Mm-hmm. But there was a time at which I also wanted to explore law. That I wanted to become a lawyer, because there are so many child issues where I feel if I can't work as a teacher, I want to become an active advocate who fights for child rights, And again, my dad said, not your cup of tea, because, they feel ke lawyer banenge, to, women usually don't carry forward their qualification in law. So in both these issues, I had my tiffs with my father, and ultimately, of course, I did my graduation in law also. So I am a law graduate also. Okay. But I think teaching was always in my DNA, and early childhood especially. I was very clear about it. Even though after a few years, I did my B.Ed also in English and sociology, English and history. But I said, no, early childhood is where I belong. Okay. And because my dad had brought us up, to think clearly, we were never in a hurry to be married off. Dad never wanted that. Career karo, apna kuch banao. He was all for that. I had quite a late marriage. I got married at the age of 40. And even if your parents support you, you go through a lot where society is concerned, your big social circle or your family members or other than your, will always keep on asking you, why are you not getting married? Shadi kar lo, abhi, fir bacche nahi honge, and all that, And I met my husband actually on a film set. Not many people know that I left teaching because I was quite disgusted with the way education was moving. I was very disgusted कि क्या है ये worksheets देते हैं बच्चों को, I mean report cards बनाते हैं, and I'm working in such a great school, but what is it? I was the one who introduced puppetry out there. Okay. So they never had puppets. So I was quite jaded with the whole idea that this is not what I came into education for. And in my class was a person whose husband was going to make a film, and she said, would you like to join my husband? And I said, yeah, why not? Sure. And I joined, and my husband was the associate director of the film. I met him on the set in Delhi. The first shoot was in Delhi, and
You're talking about Sarfarosh?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So we met in Delhi, and we started dating. And I was around, I think I was about 28 or 30 years old. So we've had a long courtship. We've had a very long courtship. Uh-huh. And so at that in when you look at it in the past, you realize that you had such a good opportunity of enjoying your life the way you wanted it. Right. But at that time, when you are going through that life, you are more worried about what people say or what people think. And that is what I keep telling women nowadays, that people will always put their expectations on you. You don't have to bend down to their expectations. As long as you're not doing any harm to anybody, as long as the way you are living is not hurting anybody, you should be enjoying what's happening in your life. And now when I think about it, I feel so good that, I took my time to get married. We enjoyed our courtship. Not many couples get that opportunity. They are pushed into marriage and then, they hardly had time to discover each other.
Absolutely.
So we were friends, before we became partners. And that has helped a lot in our marriage, in the way we are today. So when I think back on it, I feel, these were good things. Why was society not supportive of it? Why do we want women to get married? Or why do we want that when a man and a woman meet, we want to push them into marriage?
That's the only destination, which is marriage.
Yes, and we had such a lovely tuning, understanding, and we were both very clear when we got married that we don't want children. Both of us were very much about environment, population. He being a journalist before he became a filmmaker, very well read. Both of us were very clear about not wanting children. And that was again another setback to a lot of people. कि बच्चे नहीं करोगे, बच्चे के बिना कैसे रहोगे, जब बूढ़े हो जाओगे तब क्या करोगे, and all that, So we enjoyed explaining to people. We would enjoy seeing their shocked expression when you would tell them that we don't want children and why we don't want children. And then you can actually see them squirming, very embarrassed. We used to tell them, कि population देखा है world का, हाँ, एक आध दो couple अगर बच्चे नहीं करेंगे तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. So it used to be fun.
Okay.
And so personally, I've had a very good, I must say, a good life because what other people would have looked at as a struggle, I see women today who are not married are depressed, they feel as if they are something less. And I always tell them that, enjoy your life right now as is. ये दिन वापस नहीं आएंगे. It's a phase of life. You have to enjoy every phase that God gives you, So I feel, when I look back, I feel, yes, I should be considering myself blessed. I got that much of time to be unmarried, follow my dreams, do my education. And then I got that much of time to become part of a couple, rather than just becoming a married couple. I got that much time, that much part to be part of a couple. And I think that has what has matured me, given me that groundedness which is required. My husband is a very, very different personality. He is very balanced in his relationships. I have a fantastic mother-in-law who says, my daughter-in-laws are always right, my sons are not. So she's like that, she is an amazing person. She's above 80, but if you still speak to her and if you ask her, how are you, Ma? Her first answer is, Bas, ekdam theek hu. Even though she goes through so much health issues, her positivity is so contagious. And when I hear other people grumble about their mother-in-laws, I again feel like a misfit. That, I don't have that problem, So it personally, it has been a fulfilling, I would say, a fulfilling life. Yeah. And I never had a break in my career. My dad supported me. My husband was always there. In fact, he was the one who pushed me to do my B.Ed while we were courting. Even though I was saying, "Nahi, mujhe nahi karna hai," he said, "Nahi, education. Agar you are so interested in reading books and learning more, to do it." He's the one who pushed me for my PhD and everything. And actually, he's the one. Not many people know that I was dying to get rid of my surname, because my surname Popat has caused me a lot of tears in childhood, especially when you are bullied in school, because Popat has a double meaning. Boys tease you. They can really make you cry about it. So my only reason while growing up to get married was to change my surname.
Her name.
When I got married, I was dying. कि बस अभी मैं स्वाति वत्स बन जाऊं, And my husband said, no way. It's your identity. Why we want to give up your identity? You should keep it, And that's how I'm still with Swati Popat Vats. So, and that also again I realized that it's something that women never consider it as a choice.
Right.
That it is something that is embedded in the way we are brought up.
That's there in the belief system. Like you rightly said, because as you become 23, 24, it's like the thoughts of getting married running your head, and then you're going to get the name of your husband, and then you have to take care and have a child soon after a year or 2 years. You can't wait longer. I know that's how, but when you were telling that you decided not to have children to be able to enjoy that life, experience relationship with each other. So in a way, and then on the other side, your passion was early childhood. So did it come in between your career? When you're looking for jobs or somewhere, people normally have that tendency,
When you're talking to parents, sometimes parents would feel that, she doesn't have a child, who's she to tell us about it?
That's what I was
but I read somewhere an expert who had replied, and I started using the same answer, that you go to a male gynecologist who has never experienced child labor, he doesn't even have a uterus. You go to a diabetologist who doesn't have diabetes, right? You go to them. Why? Because they are experts.
Right.
And that is exactly it. I'm an expert in my field. It's not necessary that every person who has a child is an expert because that they have had a child. So having a child or not having a child does not make me an expert in this field. It is my knowledge, it is my experience that makes me an expert in this field.
Yeah.
I think now it has been the other way around. Now people assume that I have children because of the way I talk about child development, or because so they assume कि इसके तो 4-5 बच्चे होंगे कि इसलिए उसको इतना.
That's why she knows so much.
Yeah. So yes, in the initial period of my career, it definitely used to be something that, and today also I feel parents are much more open-minded. Society is much more open-minded. But yes, in my initial phase, people would be a little worried that she doesn't have children. How is she going to teach us about child development, or how to take care of my child? So yes, definitely. But as I said, it's I always feel, Sonal, there are two sides to life. And sadly, we grow up only looking at one side. We never even know that there is another side.
Because we have never experienced it.
Yeah, for me, I've been fortunate that I had people in my life who showed me the other side of life.
I was about to ask. Yes, yeah. I was about to ask. Then isn't it like you were privileged that you actually see that other side of the coin? So who were those people, and what opportunities came your way which were appreciated? You were not stopped, and you leveraged that from there, and then you became who you are today. So who are those people in your ecosystem? Were their parents, your extended family? What support you got that you were able to see the other side of that coin?
I would say to a large extent my parents and my husband. Because I don't know where my parents stopped and my husband began. It's actually like that. For most women, it is a very clear cut before marriage and after marriage kind of a stuff. For me, it wasn't, because as I told you, I was 14. So my husband became very much a part of my life, and he's a lot. He's very different in his outlook of life, of relationships. And my father was also the same. My father would not like politics in relationship, So if my mother were to go to him and say a particular sister-in-law has said this, my father would say, sort it out. So he was that kind of a person, he wouldn't take sides. And same with my husband. One of the first things my husband told me when we got married was that if we have a problem with each other, we should talk to each other and not to a family member.
Good person.
That's what usually wives and husbands do. They talk to a friend if they are having a problem with their spouse, or they talk to another family member, a mother, a father, but they don't talk to each other. And somewhere that these people somewhere then use it against you later on also, because they know the weakness in your relationship with your spouse. So he was very clear about it from day one, that if we have a problem with each other, however big, however ugly, we should only share it with each other and not go to anybody in the family. And that's how we've become. So a lot of people feel I'm very closed. I'm very private because I don't talk about my personal life to anybody, I'm talking a lot to you. I never talk about anything. Nobody knows the personal side of Swati Popat. You must have seen my social media. You will never see a photograph of mine with my husband. I don't like to share my personal life. You will not know who my siblings are. You won't know all that. I wouldn't wish any family member on my social media page. I'm a very private person like that, because that's how my dad was. And so I would say my parents played a huge role in what I am today, in the confidence that I have in myself, because I grew up with not very great marks. I was always a very naughty child in the class. I was nowhere near the first 15 also. Okay. And my elder sister was very smart. She was very intelligent. She was always in the first 5. So the school would always compare us, that they couldn't believe that I was her sister, because we were so different, like chalk and cheese, Yeah. My dad and my mom were very clear that people can have different personalities, just because you are somebody's sister doesn't mean you have to be like them. So I think they were very good as parents, and my dad was very clear about never stopping us from having a career, because being a Gujarati, a lot of Gujarati men feel that why should my daughter work? I can't earn or what? They have that ego. My dad never had that, because a lot of people used to tell him that your daughter is going out to earn. It doesn't look nice, because as I told you, 34 years back, things were very different.
Absolutely.
And my dad was a very confident man, and he would say, no, they have to have a life of their own. And he also taught us another thing. He always said that choose a guy, not for his money or his cars or his education. Choose somebody that if life throws him on the street, he will be able to bounce back.
Yeah.
And that is again contrary to what most parents tell their daughters, that go for security, go for kitna kamata hai, kitna, ghar hai, bangla hai, ye hai, wo hai, I have known my friends who would say, I only want a guy in South Mumbai, and I wouldn't even go in the north of Mumbai, all that. So my parents were very different, mainly because they were from East Africa. And, they came here during Idi Amin, when Idi Amin threw the Indians out. Okay. So that's when my parents migrated from East Africa to here. So my dad had a very, very, very different mindset, He was also very much about reading, literature. I remember an incident I must share with you. When you're growing up as an adolescent, you like to read Mills and Boon. And we used to read a lot. You grow up on Mills and Boon.
Yeah.
And my dad knew what Mills and Boon was about, and he didn't want his girls to become a girl who waits for Prince Charming, because he knew what Mills and Boons is all about.
Yeah.
And he didn't like me reading Mills and Boon, because he always used to see a Mills and Boon in my hand. So he just made a passing comment once that, this is gutter literature. And that comment stayed with me, that I gave up Mills and Boon and I started reading. My love for literature actually started after that, that just to please my dad, that I'm reading the right kind of stuff, because he said gutter literature for Mills and Boon, So he was that kind of a person, He wouldn't force his ideas or values on us, but that's what I try to bring in my parenting workshops when I talk to parents, that, it's your child should be wanting to please you, not the other way around.
And I think that's very natural. That's very natural too with the child.
So that sense of respect is so strong in some children that even an expression on their father's or mother's face, it affects them. It's there. It's there in your children. I have seen it, and it comes from natural parenting. It comes when you have a natural bond with your parents. So yes, if you say influence, I would say my dad and my mom. I was very, very happy that I found a man who was able to maintain a balance in roles. We don't know even now during lockdown. Many women say, my husband helps me. And I always say, what is help? It's his job. I mean, are you helping him? So I'm glad that happened. So when I was working, as I told you, after I left, after I met my husband, I think God wanted us to just meet. And then I started my own business. I started a consultancy firm, and my first client was actually EuroKids. So that's how I established EuroKids. I was their consultant, their founder consultant. I have made a few standalone schools as a consultant till then. And simultaneously, I also met up with the Podar group, and they appointed me as a consultant. And that's how my history of working, developing schools, developing curriculums all started. I never wanted to go back to being a teacher, because I said, as a teacher, you're not able to change the system. You have to do something else to change the system.
Because you have to redesign things so that the people can follow that.
Yes, exactly. And then, of course, one thing leads to another, and you are able to play a hand in your own career, etc.
Right. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And, I also see that while you are telling your story, my mind is busy finding those complicated, interconnected links, the changes that we, make in one aspect, sometimes it has an effect on the other aspect of life. And it's more like when I yell at someone, so that particular day my work doesn't go well.
Yes.
So
yes.
I see a lot of beautiful interconnections in your life, house beginnings and your parenting and then your career and then your life partner, everything connected had a wonderful impact on your life. And I'm sure, I'm inquisitive to know, when such things happens in a human's life, there has to be some strategic as well as comprehensive plannings to produce certain outcomes and consequences, be it at work or be it in personal relationships, because you have learned until then. Probably Dr. Swati has learned until then that if I'm going to take a particular step, it is going to produce such kind of a consequence and outcome on my life, my work, or wherever. So I'm sure you would have gone through such development of strategies which were strategic and comprehensive. So if you can remember a few of your life incidences where you planned things in a way, you took everything like an ecosystem and you are able to reach where you are today.
So, when I started on my own, I had a company called TASHA. TASHA means it's an acronym for Teacher and Student Help Activities.
Okay.
I also had another company called Poppets. Poppets was a party planning company. And this was about 40 years back. So you can imagine there was nothing like party planning at that time. And I started that because my dad always wanted us to be independent, as I always said. I come from a very affluent family. My dad was a businessman, both in East Africa and others. But my dad always wanted that you should be independent financially. And that is something that he had hammered into us, that whether you are married or unmarried, financial independence is a must. So when you are a teacher, especially an early childhood teacher, your salary isn't much. And I had this bee in my bonnet that I shouldn't be asking my dad for money. I should have my own money to spend, to travel and all, So a lot of teachers used to do tuitions. And I was against tuitions from the beginning. I never liked the idea of tuitions. So I said, how do I now generate an additional income using my talents? And that's when I started Poppets, which was a party planning company with another partner. And that was my creative outlet, that it was with children, but it was a very different aspect. It wasn't education. It was entertainment.
Yes.
And even in that, I was very particular again about not having those dirty Bollywood songs for parties, So having proper themes for parties, which are thought through and which children enjoy and which are not harmful for them, So that was my first business. And then when I became jaded with teaching and I had to start my own company, I said, now what is it that's missing in education? Why was I not happy where I was? I was not happy because सालों से जो curriculum होता है is handed down from generation to generation like old gold jewelry, in schools, and nobody makes any changes in it. Nobody thinks about it, and that's what got me thinking that I should become a curriculum planner. I should plan curriculums. I should design schools because maybe my dad was right. There was a designer sitting hidden in me. And that's how I started teacher and student help activities to design. So I would take the entire project from scratch, right on the name to the logo, to the brochure, to the designing of the entire school, to its curriculum, to its teachers, training, everything. That's what Tasha would do. So I set up about 8 or 9 schools in Mumbai, Calcutta, Pune, and then of course EuroKids happened. And when EuroKids happened, that was one of the biggest things that changed my idea about preschool and expansion in preschool. Franchising was something that I learned with EuroKids, and what is a franchise model, how does it work? Because, till now, I was only focused on the educational aspect, not the entrepreneur aspect.
Yes.
So my training in franchising, business laws, etc. happened through EuroKids. And then when Podar invited me to set up their teacher training college and their early childhood preschool as a consultant, that's when I decided that yes, this is where I want to belong, and I stopped my company. So even though I was a consultant with Podar, I did not expand Tasha, That's why people know me as Podar, because for 20 years now I have been with them, because whatever I wanted in my company, I've never been a money person. A lot of people still approach me for becoming a partner in a business. And I don't know why, but I'm not a business person. I like to sleep at night. I can't have those figures in my mind of profit and loss. I don't know. I don't think I can do that, A lot of people tell me, that you're a fool. अपना खुद का business होता तो तू कहाँ होती? I said, नहीं, मैं कहाँ होती? मैं अभी भी वही हूँ. But I don't want this. I would rather somebody else, I used to have a quotation on my desk. It was called, find out what you like doing best and get someone to pay you for doing it.
Yeah.
So that kind of has become my life's motto.
And I think that's what a smart living is all about.
Yeah. I can't, Sonal, I don't know how people do business. I can't.
Especially, I believe people who are hardcore connected to education, they don't see business much in that sector. They want to give their best to...
I am very good at helping my franchisees do business.
Yeah, but you cannot do that.
I'm very hardcore when I'm giving them financial advice or business advice. But you ask me, No, I do not want to run a business. So many people have told me, and I said, no, sorry. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to put my finger in so many different pies. I'm very happy. Like I know that I have made ECA stand on its feet financially. But I can do that. I can create a business for somebody. I can create a good this thing, but I can't. Even now, when during the virtual learning, a lot of schools invite me to train their teachers and all, and they always ask me, what will be your fees? And I say, please donate it to ECA because I don't charge fees. I'm very happy with what I have. So people get a little, acha, but no, I cannot. So those were some of the strategic decisions that I had made, that this is how I want my career to progress, or this is how I want my life to progress. So I won't say things just happened. No, they didn't just happen. You have to make decisions. You have to make sometimes choices. And to let go of Tasha was one of the choices. But I still do my little bit of, work with other companies like Tata Sky and all that. I have done all that, and I'm extremely thankful for Podar coming into my life because Podar is a place where I have thrived. I have learned. And I always tell Dr. Pavan Podar that I joined you as a teacher and today I'm in education. It's thanks to the support, the freedom that you get when you are working, the ability to bring about change. That is something that I'm very fortunate I got in Podar.
And I think the clarity that you have had in your head from day one, like what do you want and what you're not looking forward to, also kind of, helped you reach where you are today, what I can see. And I think the outcome, you knew it and the strategies fell in place.
Yes. Also, the clutter was not there, the emotional clutter, which is something that we always put too much on women. There's too much of emotional clutter in our lives. We make them feel guilty all the time. Either as a wife or as a mother or as a daughter, that wasn't there. That emotional clutter, if you're able to keep yourself out of that clutter, it is an extremely fulfilling way of living,
Absolutely. And I think that's the only challenge, because my question was this only, because it's about systemic thinking. We live into the era of systemic thinking. If I have certain pullbacks in my life, say I have certain pullbacks in my personal life that do impact my performance. If that is not there, then you're able to accelerate, you're able to leverage your capabilities and reach whatever standards you want to. So
Absolutely.
What do you think, Dr. Swati, people who are like the women specifically, since we're talking about you and your experiences are quite beautiful in that sense, like it's an example for each and every woman on the planet, I should say. What do you think the women who are tagged, they are into the families, they are close-knitted families, they have two to three children as well, and still they want to be like Dr. Swati Popat Vats. They look up to you. Do you have a thought on it or some suggestions on it? And what do you think can be done in this particular context?
Sometimes, Sonal, there are big choices that women have to take. You can't have everything. You want to be part of a joint family and you want to be independent. It doesn't work like that. You will have to, and then they are worried it will hurt people. You have to take a choice sometimes. Do you want to hurt yourself or you want to hurt others? Sometimes your decisions hurt you. Some decisions hurt others, like I always tell women who are being pressurized. I've had so many staff who have come and cried in my office because their parents are pressurizing them to get married, but they want to work. And I always tell them that you'll have to sit with your parents and talk it out with them. No, ma'am, my father will be very hurt. I say, that is not hurt. Hurt is when you let down somebody or emotionally hurt them. This is a way of thinking of yours and your father's, which is different.
Different, yeah.
So if women are very clear about, we use hurt very, very easily for
Very
everything.
commonly also.
Yeah, that I don't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
You are hurting the person by not being happy, by you not being happy. Like I know of one of my staff member who ran away from home because she didn't want to face her father because she would say that, he'll be hurt.
Oh.
I said, your running away is not hurting him.
That's more hurting.
That's not only hurting, it's destroying him.
Absolutely.
जो आप hurt करते हो उनको, because she married a person outside her caste.
Okay.
And she was very afraid of facing her father for it. So I said, but that would be maybe for 6 months he would have been disappointed in you, maybe not spoken to you. But what you did by running away is you have basically taken away his reputation in the society, in the family. You hurt him in the real way. The other was not a hurt actually. Yeah. It was a disagreement. Absolutely. It was a difference in perspectives, values. But this is something that you actually damaged, So I feel when we talk about emotional intelligence, we sometimes don't equip our children with the ability to understand which decisions to take and which not to. So if you are in a joint family and you want a career, and the joint family is against it, I always say you will have to take a stand and maybe not live in the joint family. Because, you can't have both. You can't stay there and keep on hurting them every day. I found that ridiculous. So there are certain hard decisions sometimes that you have to take if you care for people. Because love is not all lovey-dovey, touchy-feely.
Yeah,
love sometimes has that little, love is a grape with seeds also sometimes.
It's also about. I somehow feel it's also about positioning each other. We are humans, right? We tend to, when we learn the skill to position, is when I understand from where that person is coming.
Yeah.
And I think the key is the communication. The beginning comes through communicating to each other.
Absolutely. I had a staff member who was constantly fighting with her mother-in-law, and she would always come to school and say, "Ma'am, I'm not able to concentrate because my mother-in-law did this today and my mother-in-law insulted me like this today." So I said, "Why don't you move out?" And she said, "No, ma'am, we can't afford." I said, "Well, that means you are with her for your need."
Yeah.
Now, if you need her, you will have to, because you need her. Yeah. So it is very, very important that clarity of mind is not there in us when it comes to relationships.
Absolutely.
As I said, we keep our emotional clutter in front of us, and we get sad and dejected and depressed, all because of that,
And I somehow feel we live in a very conscious kind of a mindset. Okay, this is happening, that is happening. But when you devote some time with your own self and you go to the level of that subconscious, you get your inner dialogues, you get to know what's happening exactly, what you're looking forward to, where you want to head, what you want to do, is when you reach that level of unconscious level. So that makes a lot of sense to me, because even I have seen many team members coming to me also conveying the same thing what you're conveying.
And disagreements. See, if you see my own life example, my dad didn't want me to do what I do.
Yeah.
I did have my disagreements with him, but that doesn't mean that I broke off with him.
Absolutely.
Or you understand? We were in the same house, and he was giving me those dirty looks that I'm not happy with what you have done. But I think somewhere when you take a stand for something which is right, and not for a selfish reason only, it is for something. I think over a period of time, he also realized that no, she's right. I remember when he was in hospital in his last days, he said, "You've made me most proud. Of all my children, you've really made me proud." And that felt good, that, he was so hesitant about letting me enter a profession where he felt I would not be respected. And he was right.
Right.
Because when in my initial years as a teacher, I've also had a principal who said that early childhood teachers are kaka susu teachers.
Hmm.
That's the great derogatory terms I have heard principals use for early childhood teachers. So I always used to think, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
People don't respect you.
Yeah.
And that was his fear. When you understand that actually that was his fear,
Yeah.
it wasn't just about not wanting his way.
Exactly. So it's basically his intentions behind.
Yes.
His intentions behind stopping you not to do that, not that particular behavior. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. And that's such a great learning. And yeah, you're right. For the early childhood teachers, even now the country needs a lot of work to change
Yes.
that whole
Absolutely. Respect more than that, That's why I'm very against in this pandemic when schools are sending teachers home. You are reducing their respect. Parents are not going to respect teachers.
You mean to say the teachers are going to the home to teach the students?
Yeah, they're being used as tuition teachers, that go to the home of the parent and teach, it's fine. It may work right now for the teacher. It may work right now for the school. What impact?
I think it is impacting. The larger purpose is getting defeated by such actions.
Yes.
Yeah. It is so beautiful to know so much about you, Dr. Swati. And I am so blessed. I don't know. I'm just giving myself a pat that okay, Inside Out existed so that I'm able to talk to people like you and to know more about you. I also have. I want to know from you. You have kind of set a legacy. My heart says. What is your next level?
Next level is basically about, getting the stakeholders together. I have now realized that each of the stakeholders in early childhood is doing their own thing. Parents are doing their own thing. Schools are doing their own thing. Teachers are doing their own thing. And educators and associations like ours are doing their own thing. I think it's time to bring the stakeholders together because, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, the village right now is scattered and it's time to bring that village together. And that can only happen if associations like ours, that's why if you know that Early Childhood Association has started its parenting wing, that we want to bring in parents also, that why when you have an association, why only teachers join it? Why only educators join it? Why not parents? I think when we bring this community together, then we can say that we are a strong enough community to approach the government.
Right.
And then shake the government to do things for the community. Right now we are scattered. So that's my aim right now because, when we talk only of affluent children. When we talk, we don't talk about all children.
Absolutely. There are a lot of Anganwadis, there are a lot of ICDS segments.
Yes.
Not even looked upon, rejected, lying like that.
Exactly. So it's very important to bring people together now, the stakeholders together, because the need is the same. The need is the same for everybody. That we want children of this country who are its human resource to get the quality that they deserve, which they are presently not getting.
Right.
And it's not going to happen just with government policies. It will happen when everybody understands and everybody says, yes, we want this. So I think that is my goal now, to get everybody together. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we are trying to take our baby steps, trying to bring communities together, trying to understand what parents have against schools, or what schools have against parents, or what teachers have against, so if we understand the mistrust which is there, and we are first able to clear that, then from that trust will stem a better relationship.
Right. That's quite a project in hand with you. Specifically when we are in a country like India. Yeah, but I think that's a needed one also. It's high time that the stakeholders should be together. And I think, Dr. Swati, more than the stakeholders, even the school communities are not together.
Yeah.
If they collaborate, they come together, I'm sure there can be more that can be done. So wo bhi segment hai. Wow, that's beautiful knowing you so much.
I was when I saw your work, I said, a lot of women, it's women usually who watch these videos,
Mm-hmm.
If women can be empowered to take charge of their lives, I don't mind talking about my personal life.
Absolutely. So this
because
is
I see women struggling, depressed because of these very reasons,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I always ask women, many a times I've asked in my parenting workshops to a lot of parents that if you had a choice, A, would you have got married? And B, would you have had children?
Mm-hmm.
And you won't believe it, Sonal. 40% of these women have said, if I had a choice, I wouldn't have. And many people ask me, Sonal, today, that are you still with your decision of not having children? Because it is said, no, that women को फिर एक वो हो जाता है, they regret not having children कहीं ना कहीं at some age. Not a single twinge till now. Not a single twinge. I am surrounded by children because I care for children.
Absolutely.
Not for you understand that?
Yeah.
So it is a myth that many women are told that आपका वो mothering instinct जब आएगा ना फिर आपको बहुत वो होगा. Nothing like that. It's leave it to God. If it's to happen, it will happen. If it doesn't also, that doesn't make you any less.
Absolutely.
There is more to life than depressing yourself. And I've seen couples break up because of it.
Of this, yeah.
आपको एक बच्चे के लिए you broke up your own relationship. I mean, how is that positive? That I really can't. I fail to understand that because it's so drilled into us by society that you are incomplete without that. So I always say, I don't think I've lost anything. I don't regret it. And in fact, jokingly, me and my husband always say every day that thank God we didn't have children. when we see the kind of world around and we see
it is a lot. It's a project. It's a whole life project. Having children, you are like occupied.
Thank you so much, Sonal.
Thank you so much.
It's lovely having me. I'm honored that you thought of me, really, and I'm so proud to know you because you do such beautiful work, really.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying my best. The only thing is, without doing all this stuff, I think I cannot sustain my life. It's
True.
It's so much in now. I want to just keep learning and doing. I feel so lost when I'm not knowing people, not doing. So I love connections. Yeah. It's beautiful. अच्छा लगा बहुत time बाद. It was
I know.
It's
so nice.
And soon we will be making. Love you too. See you soon in person.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for giving such precious time of yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.